If someone told you that your brain was built by deliberately smashing your own DNA, the exact kind of damage that normally kills a cell on the spot, would you believe them? Be honest. Drop a comment right now. Yes or no? Hold that answer, because the truth is yes. It happened to you millions of times before you were even born. Here is the thing nobody tells you about the most complicated object in the known universe. The 3-pound lump of electrified jelly reading these words back to you. It did not arrive fully assembled. It had to be built, and the construction site was a nightmare. Picture the brain of an unborn baby. New neurons are being manufactured deep inside it, but that is not where they are meant to live. They have to move. Each tiny cell has to crawl all the way out to the surface, to the cerebral cortex, the wrinkled outer layer where thinking actually happens. And the path there is not a nice open road. It is rush hour, in a hallway built for one, packed wall to wall with fibers and other cells. And every single neuron has to shove its way through. Imagine squeezing your whole body through a mail slot. Now imagine doing it as one fragile cell, with your entire genetic instruction manual folded up inside your head. Something is going to get crushed, and something does. As these baby neurons force themselves through the narrowest gaps, both strands of their DNA snap clean in two. Not a scratch, not a dent, a full double-strand break. If you know anything about cell biology, you just winced. Because a double-strand break is the nuclear option of DNA damage. It is the thing your cells burn enormous energy trying to prevent every second of every day. One unrepaired break can send a cell spiraling into mutation, or switch on cancer, or make the cell simply give up and self-destruct. By every rule we thought we knew, it is a catastrophe. Cells almost never do this to themselves on purpose. Almost never. There is exactly one famous exception, and hold on to it because it comes back. Your immune system deliberately shatters and reshuffles its own DNA to invent the millions of different antibodies that keep you alive. So your body already had one licensed master of controlled demolition. The question the scientists were staring at was whether it had a second one, hiding in your head. Because here is the stranger problem. If a double-strand break is the worst thing that can happen to a cell, why is it happening to every single cell that becomes your mind? That is exactly what a team at Kyoto University set out to answer, and they published what they found in the journal Nature in June of 2026. The lead scientist, Professor Mineko Kengaku, and her collaborators did something wonderfully direct. They watched. They used glowing fluorescent markers that light up wherever DNA is broken, and they tracked living neurons in mice as they made the Great Migration. They even built microscopic obstacle courses, tiny artificial channels, and made the cells squeeze through so they could film the whole thing up close. And on screen, they could see it happen in real time. As a neuron wormed its way through a tight channel, the markers flared to life. The DNA was tearing. And then, once the cell popped out the other side and reached its destination, the glow faded. The breaks were gone, repaired, usually within 24 hours. Let that land. The most severe damage a genome can suffer healed overnight, as a completely routine part of building a healthy brain. Your brain did not survive this damage by luck. It expected it. It scheduled it. It cleaned up after itself before you ever took your first breath. But it gets better, because right now you might be assuming the breaking is just an accident, just an unlucky side effect of the squeeze, a pothole on the commute. It is not. When the team looked closer, they found a culprit with a name, an enzyme called topoisomerase II beta. Normally, this little molecular tool is a helper. DNA gets twisted and tangled under stress, like a charger cable strangling itself in your pocket. And topoisomerase snips it, lets it untwist, and ties it neatly back together. But under the crushing pressure of that migration, it goes into overdrive. And the cuts it makes are the double-strand breaks. In other words, the damage is not the cell breaking down. It is a tool the cell is choosing to use. Remember the immune system? Here it is again. The brain is not getting wrecked by the squeeze. The brain is wrecking itself on purpose with its own equipment. Which raises a rather obvious problem. If you go around cutting your own genetic code in hundreds of places, sooner or later, you are going to snip something important. Cut the wrong gene and your neuron comes out broken, or worse. So how does the brain gamble with the actual blueprint of you and almost always win? Here's the part that genuinely feels like it was designed. The breaks are not random. They land overwhelmingly in the boring parts of the genome. The long stretches of non-coding DNA that carry no active instructions. The junk drawer, not the filing cabinet. It is as if the brain has a designated crumple zone, the way a car is engineered to fold and crush everywhere except the seats where the people actually sit. The genes running your neurons stay protected. The damage gets shoved into the parts that can afford to take a hit. And then a dedicated repair crew, using a pathway with the gloriously industrial name of non-homologous end joining, rushes in and stitches the loose ends back together. Fast, efficient, done. But here is the twist that reframes the whole story. That repair is not perfect. And this is the moment it stops being a story about cells and becomes a story about you. When those breaks get sewn back up, the repair sometimes leaves a tiny scar. A single letter changed here, a fragment rearranged there. Which means that after the migration, no two neurons in your head carry exactly the same DNA anymore. You have spent your entire life assuming you have one genome, one master set of instructions copied faithfully into every cell you own. You do not. Your brain is a mosaic, billions of neurons, each carrying its own faint edits, its own private record of the rough little journey it took to reach its seat. The scientists put it almost poetically. Some of your brain's history is written directly into its genome. So the next time you blank on where you left your keys, you can technically blame a specific neuron for a typo. It is not you. It is cell number 4,012,000,012, which took a bad squeeze in the third trimester and never fully recovered. There is a shadow side to all of this, and the researchers are the first to point at it. If breaking and repairing DNA is a normal, essential step in building a brain, then when that system slips, when the cleanup crew runs a little too slow, or the cuts fall in the wrong place, that may be exactly where some developmental and neurological disorders quietly begin. The very same process that builds a healthy mind, runs slightly wrong, might help take one apart. The line between construction and destruction turns out to be almost unbelievably thin. Quick thing before the end. Most people watching this are not subscribed, and this is exactly the kind of rabbit hole this whole channel lives in. One tap of that subscribe button honestly helps out more than you would think. Okay, back to where we started. You were asked a simple yes or no question about whether your brain was built by damaging your own DNA. And the answer is not just yes. The answer is that the damage was the entire point. Your mind was not assembled in spite of the breaking. It was assembled because of it. Every thought you have ever had is running on a network of cells that had to be torn and repaired and quietly scarred just to reach the place where they could think at all. You are not the thing that survived the damage. You are the thing the damage was building all along.